Strategy 3, as well as the SWAP, or Agriculture Sector-Wide Approach. It is considered a priority crop. Even in the National Export Strategy, cotton as an oil crop is also considered a priority crop. So it receives priority in terms of the different institutions within Malawi. It contributes GDP roughly about 10 to 15%. In fact, we're estimating that about 40,000 Malawians are directly engaged in the cotton industry, apart from the farmers alone, but other players coming into the sector, creating employment.
The importance of cotton at a household level, there's so many. One, that it is easy to handle. Of course, we know when you're growing, you have to make sure that you manage the pests there. And if you put in a very good plan, you manage the pests, it gives you a very good yield, it's easy because that's already a variable income at household level. Definitely that would improve people's lives when they've got money at hand. And also at household level, the way I see with cotton, one another advantage is, these are like shrubs, groups of crops. They give space to what we call crop diversification. So that time that you've grown and they are growing there, they give space that you can do other agriculture activities. You can grow other crops.
Cotton is very important to me in the sense that as an income generating activity, particularly farming, when we look at cotton, this is the crop that we rely much. Like for the 2020-2021 growing season, the produce that I got, when I sowed, I got about 7 million Malawi kwacha. So from that money that I realized, I've used it for paying some school fees for my little brothers, as well as I would like to venture into other businesses from the profits that I got from this farming season.
Some of the challenges with the value chain players basically is the supply. The ginning capacities, 250,000 metric tons in total across the country. We have got about 4 or 5 ginners at the moment. We are not producing enough. And therefore, we have a responsibility now for good agricultural practices.
If they can yield 3 tons plus, means improvement at that level. Now, when it comes to us now, as the users, as a GINA, it means more employment because you have more buyers fanning out to buy the seed and then bringing it into the factory to gene, that's another employment. Then you move from there to the factory where we're going to do the spinning and weaving. As I said earlier on, the spinning alone is 45% of the whole establishment. It means now you're employing 45% of the staff. So job creation is there. Poverty alleviation, you've done away with it. At least by Malawi standards, I am employed, but there are 10 people on average. So if you take that 45%, you bring them in on board, it means you have multiplied it by 10 for the farmers. So that you have improved them. Besides that, you have made the company continue non-stop production. So there will be no downtime.
We do not want to be caught up in a situation where we have to import lint. Therefore, we are compelled to scale up the production. And we are looking at the BT cotton really as the solution to this. As I said, with the limited area, we have to enhance the productivity. We'll be looking at engaging Makoka, bring in other germplasms which can actually drive us from 4 tons to a higher level, maybe up to 8 tons per hectare. And I also mentioned, we're also seriously looking at the stacked gene so that we can also reduce the impact of weeds on yields. As I said, 40% of yield reduction is due to weed competition. So we are looking really at stacked genes here so that we can now move at smallholder farmer level from 2 tons to a possible 4 tons per hectare. That turns around the whole industry in Malawi.
Over the years, I have observed with keen interest the aspect that technology, and especially animal-based technology, has not taken root in Africa, and in comparison to crop biotechnology. When you look at the crop sector, a lot is going on as opposed to the animal biotechnology sector. And the question for me is why?
Biotechnology is here with us. It's a reality. There is growing population in Africa, around the world, and the issue of food and feeding those numbers of people remains critical.
Livestock is very, but specifically what came out for Kenya was that about 40% of the GDP from agriculture comes from animals. But what is surprising is that animal biotechnology has only been at the research level and has not gone to deployment.
Biotechnology is part and parcel of what we do, especially in animal breeding and genetics. And one of the major challenges why it has not reached the farmer, one is majorly because of the issue of costs. So if you look at things to do with, for example, multiple ovulation and embryo transfer, which is part of biotechnology, it is slightly costly.
The key challenge for me is lack of national priority. There is no defined agenda that wants to promote sustained animal biotechnology. The other one is lack of integration of the end users by the researchers. So when there is no agenda, then the researchers are forced to look for money from donors who have other agenda. So now we are left in the laboratory, and then we delink from the farmers. So when you come up with a product, the farmers also reject it because they were not part of it.
I think communication, there's nothing we can do without communication. We really need to communicate. So whatever the scientists are doing, they need to communicate. Whatever the policymakers are doing, they need to communicate. The regulators, they need to communicate with the public. And that communication is very vital because it will remove the misconceptions. It might not remove totally, but it will, at least people will understand what they are getting into. You know, even the so-called activists, I'm sure there was a lot of debate about activists, whether we should bring them on board. I think they should definitely be brought on board.
We are not opposed to biotechnology. Our position is that that technology is not supposed to be at the expense of the welfare of animals. So that is one. Number two, it is about how this connects to the global situation, that Africa is part of a global community, and the technology that we have developed, we got to make sure that it is not responding to an external agenda. Africa's biotechnology development has to be relevant for Africa, driven by Africa, led by Africa.
We need to think about our future. There's a very, very big emphasis on conservation of wildlife, which we need to because it brings in a lot of tourism. And we also need to think about how we're going to conserve our wildlife. But are we thinking about how we're going to conserve our food for tomorrow? It is easy for us to conserve the seeds of plants, but for animals, the only way we can conserve our food for tomorrow that is coming from an animal is ensuring that this animal survives. We have challenges like climate change, and we need to see how these animals will get better adapted and be there for us to have as food on the plate tomorrow.
Globally, animal biotechnology is also now moving towards giving products to the farmers. So Africa will receive animal biotechnology products either from outwards or the one developed from here actually. So the point is that it is good that Africa prepares to assess those products and ensure that they meet the international standards of safety and they can be adopted by our local people.
How would I describe the workshop in 3 words? Informative, very technical, and engaging.
The workshop was well organized. The topics were, I think, very appropriate.
Very enlightening, and also I learned a lot myself. I've also networked. Now I've even known the people I've never met before.
I found the workshop very, very invigorating. The discussions were really very, very interesting.
This workshop is God-sent. I can say it is a very, very good workshop. And it has been lively, and it has very good messages that come out.
So going forward, it is my hope that this meeting will be the catalyst that we need to start something that will involve us to have an agenda for animal biotechnology and ensure that its benefits are reaped.
Greetings. My name is Dr. Shavonda Jacobs-Young, Administrator of the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Agricultural Research Service, and it is my pleasure to join you for this important event. I would like to begin by commending the International Service for the Acquisition of Agribiotech Applications and its partners for organizing this symposium and for identifying the need to communicate across embracing new agricultural technologies and advancing research efforts. As we all know, the climate crisis threatens to disrupt food systems around the globe, exacerbate food insecurity.
Nigeria, the most populous country in Africa. What does that mean? High food demand and demand for arable land. But farmers in this country were fighting with Maruca, the most devastating cowpea pest. Then in 2019 came a solution, the commercial cultivation approval for GM cowpea resistant to Maruca. If this cowpea reaches the hands of farmers the soonest, they will be able to produce more food using less land and less chemicals. In celebrating Africa's accomplishment in agribiotechnology in the past 2 decades, join us. We are speaking to farmers, scientists, and other stakeholders.
Agriculture is the backbone of life. Agriculture cutting across from animal to plant to crops for industry, for eating. So there are a lot of things that biotechnology contribute, and there is NAFDA is doing a lot. Recently, with collaboration with other institutions, NAFDA has success in releasing 2 of the crops, that is the BT cowpea, which is recently released, and then the BT cotton, which has been released last year. So this is a huge contribution to the economy of the nation.
Cowpea is the #1 food legume crop in Nigeria. Out of our about 200 million Nigerians, nearly almost everyone consumes cowpea in one form or the other. So therefore, it remains one of our critical energy source, and also for being protein rich.
In most of the part of the country where they plant cowpea is generally for commercial, for selling. The southern part of the country consume more cowpea than the northern part of the country. But the production is in the northern part of the country. It used to be viewed as an extra activity in the agricultural sector, not the main thing. But now people are appreciating 2 things. One, it gives you money, both domestically and internationally, export. Number 2, people are realizing that in terms of quality intake into your main food, beans are better than rice, are better than sorghum, are better than millet.
The national cowpea production is around 6 million tons, and our national cowpea demand as it is now is around 6 to 7 million metric tons every year.
Most of the challenges I used to face, or the farmer used to face when they are cultivating coffee is that there is one problem, that is insects, which insect particularly that Moruca. Moruca is a terrible and problematic insect concerning coffee production. As I told you, if you are cultivating 1 hectare or 2 hectare, in a day or less than 24 hours, once there is outbreak of that insect, it can feed on the leaves, pod, flower. It can damage complete everything.
Unfortunately for cowpea, even though at the vegetative phase there are other insect pests, but they are not as destructive as this pod-boring insect. It is the larva of the, it's like a butterfly. It's a moth which feeds on the flower buds, it feeds on the flower, it feeds on the developing pod and also the developed pods, thereby make it burrows into it and spoils even the grain quality.
I remember about 3-4 years ago, there were a lot of complaints from the farmers of insects that are affecting beans. I am not producer of beans, but last year I did. Luckily, mine was not affected. But then you have to do a lot of fumigation and other things like that, which to me is very, very dangerous. Too much chemicals creates another problem for us. So the issue now is, since they are now coming with a variety that is resistant to this, so the application of chemical will be less, and that will be safer. That will be safer for us, and also that will boost production of beans in the country.
The technology actually, reduces the use of chemicals, those pesticides and insecticides that before a farmer would actually realize yield, he has to use those pesticides and what. I know most of them are toxic, and then it makes farming not cost effective. Agribiotech, let's say, reduces farm inputs.
The BT cowpea approval, from the onset, there were a lot of opposition by the activists, but realizing the fact that our regulatory process is also based on complete scientific evidence, we were not deterred by such oppositions and criticisms and even antagonism. But the major role we play was to receive the application, carry out the risk assessment, review process, using the National Biosafety Committee and National Biosafety Subcommittee, and also making publications in 3 national dailies for members of the public to take a critical look of the dossier and to advise the agency. And apart from that, prior to the final release, the media was invited and briefed on what we are doing and what about to do, and we granted the approval.
I used to cultivate cowpea for years, and I have a new variety last year, heavily produced by the Institute of Agricultural Research, Samaru, Zaria in Kaduna State. They bring a new variety of cowpea to test it, to assure us that the new variety of cowpea has a resistance of pest, and it has a drought tolerant, and it is fast growing cowpea. And I tested last year. In a less than kg I saw in my farm, I end up getting of 64 to 65 kg of that variety. When compared with that local variety we used to cultivate initially, we are not getting up to 16 to 12 kg per kg when we sow it. So that by then, to me, to farmer who take farming as a business or for leisure, no matter what you take farming is, yield is the matter. So that variety, new variety of cowpea, PBR cowpea, it has a good potential of yield, as I tested last year. And that berry variety, the cost of its production, it is almost very low when compared to that local variety in terms of pesticide, that is chemical spraying. So initially for that local variety, we used to spray for 7 to 8 times, while that of local variety is reduced to 2 number of spraying.
Nigeria was banned from export of red beans simply because the level of chemical applied in these red beans is so high for human consumption in the West. So naturally, they were not to. But our only problem with beans, as they are susceptible to insects and other things, as I think what you are addressing now, that's the only problem. And I'm very happy that at least Institute of Agricultural Research, some of them have come up with a new variety of seed that is resistant to these pests and other diseases.
There's no nation that can develop without the use of science and tech. And there's no way you can transit from subsistence farming, to business farming in agriculture without the use of science and technology tools. And biotechnology tools, of course, is one of those great tools that have changed the stories of Brazil, the narratives of Brazil, Argentina, US, and they're all food secure today because of the application and the adoption of agricultural biotechnology.
My drive has been the imagination of what farmers' face will look like, feel of happiness. That drove me, even when some daunting stumbling blocks came my way, that pulled me over and continued with it. So I'm personally fulfilled.
We are happy that we are solving the problems of people, and we are happy that people are accepting the solution. We are happy that this thing is now creating a lot of joy in the face of our people, and this is what I'm happy about. This is what we as an agency are happy about, that we are providing a solution to a problem that is bedeviling our people.
As a government, we are supporting these new innovations into the agricultural sector, and we are pumping in money across the board in this particular instance. The beans aspect, what worries me more, and I think what we should place attention on, is not only the issue of pesticide and other elements, chemical elements. No, we have to follow up with a sustainable agricultural extension service policy and activity. Very, very crucial in guiding the farmers on the application of chemicals on the beans in particular. One, that will bring back our export market. Two, it will become safer to eat. Three, it will also equally boost production. So that is very fundamental and very key to us in this country. And we are working desperately along that line.
How to tell that a cassava plant is infected with cassava brown streak disease? There are different ways. One is you look at the leaves. So the leaves, the symptoms that occur in the leaves is you can see the leaf, there is chlorosis or loss of green color along the veins. You can see the leaves are turning to have the yellow and green. So that means when you see that browning, that yellowing, it tells you that you are having a problem of cassava brown streak. So this requires also the eyes that are trained. It's not every yellow leaf that is showing says that it is having cassava brown streak disease. But for the people who are working on cassava, they can appreciate by the time they look at this zeroing, and they can know that this cassava is infected by cassava brown streak. Sometimes you may also see the symptoms on the stems, what you call the browning. Those may be shown on the like streaks along the cassava stem. So that is actually where the name came from, the brown streak, because the browning normally occurs in the stem. But the main characteristic is in the roots. When you harvest such a plant which is having all these type of symptoms, and you cut those roots, you see necrosis. Necrosis is death of the tissue. You see the root is turning brown, and that browning, it cannot no longer be used as food. The challenge of cassava brown streak is it affects the part of the cassava that is eaten. So once the cassava is, the root itself is affected by the brown streak, it changes the color from what we call the white or cream into browning. Some of that browning can actually be very hard. It eventually becomes, it is destroyed and it can no longer be consumed either by animals or human beings. So this has become a major disease, and is considered to be one of the 7 most dangerous diseases in plants.
Over the years, I have observed with keen interest the aspect that technology, and especially animal-based technology, has not taken root in Africa, and in comparison to crop biotechnology. When you look at the crop sector, a lot is going on as opposed to the animal biotechnology sector. And the question for me is why?
Biotechnology is here with us. It's a reality. There is growing population in Africa, around the world, and the issue of food and feeding those numbers of people remains critical.
Livestock is very important in Africa, but specifically what came out for Kenya was that about 40% of the GDP from agriculture comes from animals. But what is surprising is that animal biotechnology has only been at the research level and has not gone to deployment.
Biotechnology is part and parcel of what we do, especially in animal breeding and genetics. And one of the major challenges why it has not reached the farmer, one is majorly because of the issue of costs. So if you look at things to do with, for example, multiple ovulation and embryo transfer, which is part of biotechnology, it is slightly, costly.
The key challenge for me is lack of national priority. There is no defined agenda that wants to promote sustained animal biotechnology. The other one is lack of integration of the end users by the researchers. So when there is no agenda, then the researchers are forced to look for money from donors who have other agenda. So now we are left in the laboratory, and then we delink from the farmers. So when you come up with a product, the farmers also reject it because they were not part of it.
I think communication, there's nothing we can do without communication. We really need to communicate. So whatever the scientists are doing, they need to communicate. Whatever the policymakers are doing, they need to communicate. The regulators, they need to communicate with the public. And that communication is very vital because it will remove the misconceptions. It might not remove totally, but it will, at least people will understand what they are getting into. You know, even the so-called activists, I'm sure there was a lot of debate about activists, whether we should bring them on board. I think they should definitely be brought on board.
We are not opposed to biotechnology. Our position is that that technology is not supposed to be at the expense of the welfare of animals. So that is one. Number two, it is about how this connects to the global situation, that Africa is part of a global community, and the technology that we have developed, we got to make sure that it is not responding to an external agenda. Africa's biotechnology development has to be relevant for Africa, driven by Africa, led by Africa.
We need to think about our future. There's a very, very big emphasis on conservation of wildlife, which we need to because it brings in a lot of tourism. And we also need to think about how we're going to conserve our wildlife. But are we thinking about how we're going to conserve our food for tomorrow? It is easy for us to conserve the seeds of plants, but for animals, the only way we can conserve our food for tomorrow that is coming from an animal is ensuring that this animal survives. We have challenges like climate change, and we need to see how these animals will get better adapted and be there for us to have as food on the plate tomorrow.
Globally, animal biotechnology is also now moving towards giving products to the farmers. So Africa will receive animal biotechnology products either from outwards or the one developed from here. So the point is that it is good that Africa prepares to assess those products and ensure that they meet the international standards of safety and they can be adopted by our local people.
How would I describe the workshop in 3 words? Informative, very technical, and engaging.
The workshop was well organized. The topics were, I think, very appropriate.
Very enlightening, and also I learned a lot myself. I've also networked. Now I've even known the people I've never met before.
I found the workshop very, very invigorating. The discussions were really very, very interesting.
This workshop is God-sent. I can say it is a very, very good workshop. And it has been lively, and it has very good messages that come out.
So going forward, it is my hope that this meeting will be the catalyst that we need to start something that will involve us to have an agenda for animal biotechnology and ensure that its benefits are reaped.
So the objective of the Virka Plus project is to develop cassava with greatly increased resistance to cassava brown streak disease. So cassava brown streak disease now impacts cassava production throughout East Africa and also now is very important in Central Africa. So our focus is mostly on developing cassava varieties that have very good resistance to cassava brown streak disease for farmers in Kenya and Uganda. And cassava brown streak disease is transmitted by whiteflies. It's caused by 2 viruses, and it's also propagated and spread by farmers who plant infected cuttings. And in severe cases, this can lead to up to 100% loss. All the roots in the cassava plant will be infected with cassava brown streak disease. They will have brown lesions in the roots, and they will be inedible. You cannot feed them to the animals, you cannot sell them. So there can be a complete crop loss due to this very severe disease. So the objective...
Everyone, good afternoon, everyone. This is me trying to grab your attention, okay? And I want every table to pay attention because we're just kicking it off. And this is going to be a very quick one because we have to go back to work, right? Yes, so we need to get done very quickly. But before we kick it off, I'd just like us to kick it off with a word of prayer. Edna, please come so that we can start it off from a very, very spiritual perspective, believing that everyone is a believer one way or the other. So we'll start it off by a word of prayer from Edna, please.
Good afternoon. I'd kindly request all of us to stand for a word of prayer. Let's pray. Dear Father, we come before you this wonderful afternoon. We want to thank you for the beautiful gift of life. We want to ask you, as we start this award ceremony, may you be with us, guide us throughout the program. And as we have a meal right now, may you bless it, and may you bless where it has come from. For this I pray, believing and trusting in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much indeed. We may have our seats. My name is Patrick Igunza. I'm a journalist, local journalist for that matter, broadcast, radio and television. And I want to welcome you all to the 2023 OFAB Media Awards. Are you ready for this? If you're ready for this, can I hear you say, ah? Can I hear you say, ah? Ladies, can you say, ah? Men, can you say, oh? Better than that. Kwani amja sosi? Amja kula? Ladies, can you say, oh? Better. Men, can you say, oh? Amna sauti majama form. Aina noma. I want us to go serve our lunch so that turudi tukiwa tumechangamka. I hope everyone ana understand English na pia ana understand Swahili. Kama mko na shida na Swahili muniambie. To maintain kwa Kiingereza. Daktari, tebo yako ni ya wazito. Is there anyone mwenye understand Swahili? Kama understand Swahili mikono juu. Abu mpatie microphone atuambie kando na English and speak language kani ingine is your design. Yes, thank you very much indeed. What's your amazing name, lady?
My name is Deborah.
Deborah.
Yes.
From which part of the country or which part of the continent?
I am from Southern Africa, Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe. So you don't speak Swahili there?
Kidogo.
Kidogo. Hii imetosha. Kidogo imetosha, si ndio? Okay, because of for your sake, we'll try and make
speak
sure.
Swahili, I think it's a romantic language.
Sorry?
I'm saying speak Swahili, I think it's a romantic language.
Really?
Yes.
It is romantic.
Yes.
Ask the Tanzanians and they'll actually prove that point right. Sisi wa Kenya tunabambanya tu. Wanasemanga we participated in killing Kiswahili or Swahili if you like. So I'd like us to serve our lunch. We'll begin from this particular table. And then after this table of the guest of honors, the rest will follow. Let's try and make it very quick. Sindio, we can serve kutoka hiyo side ya buffet and then we can eat from our tables. And then mkiwa karibu kumaliza, we will start our program. Sawa? Are we ready for this? Amazing sana. Please, tunakuwa entertained. Sound engineers wako ready to make sure music in a play. And then music and food inakuanga an amazing combination. Let's start from this table. Daktari, lead your team. We go serve and then the rest of us will follow. And let's have an amazing time. Tupige haraka haraka basi.
Girl, in your love with the ginger me, you dey give me the love and the energy. Only you.
So the objective of the Virka Plus project is to develop cassava with greatly increased resistance to cassava brown streak disease. So cassava brown streak disease now impacts cassava production throughout East Africa and also now is very important in Central Africa. So our focus is mostly on developing cassava varieties that have very good resistance to cassava brown streak disease for farmers in Kenya and Uganda. And cassava brown streak disease is transmitted by whiteflies. It's caused by 2 viruses, and it's also propagated and spread by farmers who plant infected cuttings. And in severe cases, this can lead to up to 100% loss. All the roots in the cassava plant will be infected with cassava brown streak disease. They will have brown lesions in the roots, and they will be inedible. You cannot feed them to the animals, you cannot sell them. So there can be a complete crop loss due to this very severe disease.
Over the years, I have observed with keen interest the aspect that technology, and especially animal-based technology, has not taken root in Africa, and in comparison to crop biotechnology. When you look at the crop sector, a lot is going on as opposed to the animal biotechnology sector. And the question for me is why?
Biotechnology is here with us. It's a reality. There is growing population in Africa, around the world, and the issue of food and feeding those numbers of people remains critical.
Livestock is very important in Africa, but specifically what came out for Kenya was that about 40%.
Is GM technology a field technology?
Of course, it's true.
Europe doesn't accept biotechnology.
No.
It's not that true anymore.
So even in Africa, this is not actually a dying or failing technology.
The acceptance of GM technology and now slowly also maybe CRISPR-Cas and gene editing techniques, it is lower, but it's changing.
Of course, it's true that Africa missed out on the Green Revolution, but it's in danger of losing out on this new revolution. We've really missed out on the use of GM crops because there are only 2 countries in Africa that have commercialized it. That's South Africa and Sudan.
We might see a slow uptake of genetic modification and gene technologies in Africa and in Europe. But what we saw last year during the UN biodiversity meeting in Egypt was really amazing, where Africa came as a single voice, with a single voice saying that they need genetic modification and gene technologies, and they were pushing for regulatory reforms.
Africa has been slow in uptake. 3 reasons. One is the complexity of the regulatory systems that countries have adopted. Secondly is the way the governance system is. A lot of politics within the science. And we need to actually reduce the amount of politics that we put in our scientific developments. Thirdly, miscommunication. And miscommunication has created a lot of fear and indecisiveness among our policymakers.
The governments are too afraid, they're too scared of what might happen. Is there going to be a backlash? Will
Is GM technology a field technology?
Of course, it's true.
Europe doesn't accept biotechnology.
No.
It's not that true anymore.
So even in Africa, this is not actually a dying or failing technology.
The acceptance of GM technology and now slowly also maybe CRISPR-Cas and gene editing techniques, it is lower, but it's changing.
Of course, it's true that Africa missed out on the Green Revolution, but it's in danger of losing out on this new revolution. we've really missed out on the use of GM crops, because there are only two countries in Africa that have commercialized it. That's South Africa and Sudan.
We might see a slow uptake of genetic modification and gene technologies in Africa and in Europe. But what we saw last year during the UN biodiversity meeting in Egypt was really amazing, where Africa came as a single voice, with a single voice saying that they need genetic modification and gene technologies, and they were pushing for regulatory reforms.
Africa has been slow in uptake. 3 reasons. One is the complexity of the regulatory systems that countries have adopted. Secondly is the way the governance system is. A lot of politics within the science, and we need to actually reduce the amount of politics that we put in our scientific developments. Thirdly, miscommunication. And miscommunication has created a lot of fear and indecisiveness among our policymakers.
The governments are too afraid, they're too scared of what might happen. Is there going to be a backlash? Will a politician lose their vote in the next election?
The failure is more on the policy side. I mean, the government, most African countries' leaders, they in most of their speech, they clearly state that the need for technological revolution to support their economies. But when coming into practice, in order to create enabling environment for biotech and other technology, including emerging technology, is really very low.
The European Union Parliament endorsed a report that has a clause urging the G7 members not to support GMO crops in Africa. This goes against the spirit of Article 16 and 19.
Unfortunately, we know that very often still Africa is looking towards Europe to see what is being decided there. And this is, I hope, really Africa can get more independent of this and take its own decision for its own populations.
Europe is one of the continents that has kind of influenced the way our regulatory systems have been developed, but the needs are very different. Europe has different needs on food security. Africa has different needs.
We often think that many people, or 90% of Europeans, are rejecting GM crops, but that is not true, because the recent Eurobarometer shows that only 20% of Europeans are rejecting GM crops or gene modification. And again, even in Europe, there are countries that grows GM crops, which is Spain and Portugal, and they import 30 million tons of grains, GM grains, annually.
The general opinion that Europe doesn't accept biotechnology is changing recently, and probably also thanks to gene editing. In fact, the general opinion is turning towards technology, because
The issue of gene editing is, the discussions are ongoing by the African Biosecurity Regulators Forum, and from some of the discussions we've had over the weeks, we have reviewed that it's not all aspects of the gene editing that will be subjected to biosafety regulation. It's going to be selective regulation on the basis of the fact that there are some of these gene edited products that may not go through genetic engineering process.
Genome editing is a tool that we think as scientists is going to help us to have solutions to the challenges that we have. In genome editing, we are using CRISPR.
CRISPR is a new technology that is just coming in the market. And it's coming to an environment that has already been so polluted with all this kind of misinformation, disinformation, and it's rather a very confused environment.
How are we now going to govern CRISPR technology?
As Malawi, we currently don't have provision for genome editing, but we have a biosafety law, and which basically focused on genetically modified organisms that results from modern biotechnology like genetic engineering.
South Africa in the late 1990s put regulation in place for genetically modified organisms, and now because CRISPR technology is related to that, the first question is, should they be regulated as GMOs or not?
I think the regulators need to have a scientific view of this technology. If there is no new DNA being inserted, then the product coming out of it should be treated like the conventionally bred products.
With this technology of gene editing, we feel like some of the products where there are simple deletions with no foreign gene integration, in several countries those type of products are not regulated.
We feel we can improve our law so that it can be encompassing, it can be broad, and if you look at the product of genome editing, it's not everything that can be regulated. Those which are free from recombinant DNA can be exempted, but those which have recombinant DNA will still undergo through the same assessment as the other genetically modified organisms.
We're definitely not going to change our legislation. The South African legislation, as it stands, is sufficient to regulate these new breeding technologies or CRISPR, because in the end of the day the decision is made, you either have a GMO or if it's not a GMO, it's a conventional crop. So depending on exactly how you use the CRISPR technology, you can either end up with a GMO or you can end up with something that's not a GMO.
But the products which are non-GM, that they don't have recombinant DNA, they can be considered as any conventional varieties.
If we use this technology in improvement of African staple crops, then that means that they can go to the farmers in a shorter period of time, because there will be not much hurdles from the regulatory, but also the regulatory thing is quite expensive. So this type of thing can be more precise, more timely, and inexpensive.
These discussions are geared towards ensuring that the use of gene-edited products are used to enhance the economy of Africa, and we believe we will ensure that the regulatory aspect of it will be done in a way that will not impede on the technology, but at the same time safety will be our watchword.
This genome editing technology, we must handle it with a lot of care so that it doesn't go the way the GMO debate went.
For me, a technology that is going to enable the farmer to improve their productivity is a technology that should be nurtured well, and that is why it's very important that let's get this right. Let's get CRISPR right this time around.
Is GM technology a failed technology?
Of course, it's true.
Europe doesn't accept biotechnology.
No.
It's not that true anymore.
So even in Africa, this is not actually a dying or failing technology.
The acceptance of GM technology and now slowly also maybe CRISPR-Cas and gene editing techniques, it is lower, but it's changing.
Of course, it's true that Africa missed out on the Green Revolution, but it's in danger of losing out on this new revolution. We've really missed out on the use of GM crops because there are only two countries in Africa that have commercialized it. That's South Africa and Sudan.
We might see a slow uptake of genetic modification and gene technologies in Africa and in Europe. But what we saw last year during the UN biodiversity meeting in Egypt was really amazing, where Africa came as a single voice, with a single voice saying that they need genetic modification and gene technologies, and they were pushing for regulatory reforms.
Africa has been slow in uptake. 3 reasons. One is the complexity of the regulatory systems that countries have adopted. Secondly is the way the governance system is. A lot of politics within the science. And we need to actually reduce the amount of politics that we put in our scientific developments. Thirdly, miscommunication. And miscommunication has created a lot of fear and indecisiveness among our policymakers.
The governments are too afraid, they're too scared of what might happen. Is there going to be a backlash? Will a politician lose their vote in the next election?
The failure is more on the policy side. I mean, the government, most African countries, leaders, they, in most of their speech, they clearly state that the need for technological revolution to support their economies. But when coming into practice, in order to create enabling environment for biotech and other technology, including emerging technology, is really very low.
The European Union Parliament endorsed a report that has a clause urging the G7 members not to support GMO crops in Africa. This goes against the spirit of Article 16 and 19.
Unfortunately, we know that very often still Africa is looking towards Europe to see what is being decided there, and this is, I hope really Africa can get more independent of this and take its own decision for its own populations.
Europe is one of the continents that has kind of influenced the way our regulatory systems have been developed, but the needs are very different. Europe has different needs on food security. Africa has different needs.
We often think that many people, or 90% of Europeans, are rejecting GM crops, but that is not true, because the recent Eurobarometer shows that only 20% of Europeans are rejecting GM crops or gene modification. And again, even in Europe, there are countries that grows GM crops, which is Spain and Portugal, and they import 30 million tons of grains, GM grains, annually.
The general opinion that Europe doesn't accept biotechnology is changing recently, and probably also thanks to gene editing. In fact, the general opinion is turning towards technology, because we're seeing that we are getting to the limits of our current agriculture, and we need new solutions, and technology and science can only be the answers.
For Africa to benefit from new and emerging technologies, we need to put our regulatory systems right in making sure they are predictable and they are timely, they are science-based. We cannot put politics in technical decision making. Secondly, we need to build a community of communicators, science communicators, women, youth, who can engage with the different stakeholders in society. Thirdly, we need to carry along everyone. Those who are standing on the fence, those who are not clear what the technology is about, we need to devise communication strategies that address each and every cadre of our society.
Kwa majina yangu naitwa Lilian Dama Zero, ni mkazi wa Kilifi North, kijiji cha Majivuni, kata ndogo ya Tezo. Mimi ni mkulima wa muhogo. Mimi huwa napanda ekari 2 kila mwaka. Na kila msimu nikivuna huwa napata zaidi ya 200,000. Na kusema kweli, huu muhogo una faida, kwa sababu huwa nauza mbegu kwanza, alafu pili inauza ule muhogo wenyewe, Halafu pia kuna wakati mwingine huwa tunatengeneza makopa. Hino makopa ni muhogo ambao huwa unakaushwa. Halafu ndo unatengenezwa unga, ndo huwa sisi hino tunaita makopa. Na kulingana na hino na huo muhogo, hino kama mimi hino kwangu nyumbani ni chakula cha binadamu na tena ni chakula kwa mifugo. Kwa wakati wa ukame huwa hino muhogo unasaidia pakubwa sana hino kwa mfugo. Unaweza ukaenda chimba kiasi na ukajompatia ng'ombe wako na anakala vizuri na akawa hiyo siku hutahitajika kutafuta manyasi. Na pili, hayo majani ya muhogo pia sisi Mijikenda huwa tunatumia kama mboga. Yaani tunaita kibwada. Huu muhogo umenisaidia hino pakubwa. Kwa sababu nilikuwa naishi hali ngumu ya kimaisha, lakini nilipoanza huu mradi wa muhogo kupanda muhogo kwa wingi ulinisaidia. Kwa sababu niliweza kumsomesha dadangu mdogo kwa kuanzia form 1 mpaka form 4 akamaliza na sasa yuko college. Na pili na mwanangu naye nilimsomesha hata sasa yuko university. Na si kwa kitu kingine ni kwa sababu ya kupanda muhogo. Changamoto ambazo tunapata katika kulima muhogo ni magonjwa. Ugonjwa wa kwanza ni mosaic. Halafu na ugonjwa wa pili ni cassava brown streak, ambao sasa kwa kusema kweli haya magonjwa yamekuwa yakitutatiza kiasi. Kulingana na mazo yetu yameanza yakipungua. Kwa hivyo tunaomba watafiti wetu wajibidishe ili waweze kutuletea zile mbegu ambazo zitakuwa hazishikwi na haya magonjwa. Na wakifanya hivyo nitafurahi mimi kwanza na hata wenzangu wakulima wa muhogo huku Kilifi na hata Kenya nzima kwa jumla. Kwa majina yangu naitwa Lilian Dama Zero, ni mkazi wa Kilifi North, kijiji cha Majivuni, kata ndogo ya Tezo. Mimi ni mkulima wa muhogo. Mimi huwa napanda ekari 2 kila mwaka. Na kila msimu nikivuna huwa napata zaidi ya 200,000. Na kusema kweli huu muhogo una faida. Kwa sababu huwa nauza mbegu kwanza, halafu pili inauza ule muhogo wenyewe, halafu pia kuna wakati mwingine huwa tunatengeneza makopa. Makopa ni muhogo ambao huwa unakaushwa. Halafu ndo unatengenezwa unga, ndo huwa sisi tunaita makopa. Na kulingana na na huo muhogo, kama mimi kwangu nyumbani ni chakula cha binadamu na tena ni chakula kwa mifugo. Kwa wakati wa ukame huwa muhogo unasaidia pakubwa sana kwa mfugo. Unaweza ukaenda chimba kiasi na ukajompatia ng'ombe wako na anakala vizuri na akawa hiyo siku hutahitajika kutafuta manyasi. Na pili, hayo majani ya muhogo pia sisi Mijikenda huwa tunatumia kama mboga. Yaani tunaita kibwada. Huu muhogo umenisaidia pakubwa. Kwa sababu nilikuwa naishi hali ngumu ya kimaisha, lakini nilipoanza huu mradi wa muhogo kupanda muhogo kwa wingi ulinisaidia. Kwa sababu niliweza kumsomesha dadangu mdogo kwa kuanzia form 1 mpaka form 4 akamaliza na sasa yuko college. La pili na mwanangu naye nilimsomesha hata sasa yuko university, na si kwa kitu kingine, ni kwa sababu ya kupanda muhogo. Hii changamoto ambazo tunapata katika kulima muhogo ni magonjwa. Ugonjwa wa kwanza ni mosaic, halafu na ugonjwa wa pili ni cassava brown streak, ambao sasa kwa kusema kweli haya magonjwa yamekuwa yakitutatiza kiasi. Kulingana na mazo yetu yameanza yakipungua. Kwa hivyo tunaomba watafiti wetu wajibidishe ili waweze kutuletea zile mbegu ambazo zitakuwa hazishikwi na haya magonjwa. Na wakifanya hivyo nitafurahi mimi kwanza, na hata wenzangu wakulima wa muhogo huku Kilifi na hata Kenya nzima kwa jumla.
Margaret Karembu, who is playing host today. I've known her for quite some time from ISA. Thank you very much. We also do have Anne Moyer, Senior Biosafety Officer. Government agencies are represented. We have private sector players as well as media fraternity. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, a warm welcome to the 2023 OFAB Kenya Media Awards. Can we clap for ourselves, please? We can do better than that. Can we clap for ourselves? I've had a privilege of touring some European countries, and there is a culture when it comes to clapping, which is awesome. Whenever someone is announced as a winner or someone is taking to the podium, once they announce, they remain upstanding, assuming this is where I am, and we will start clapping for them until they take to the podium, right? So can we do that? Assuming I am the one that is being announced to take to the podium, and I'll be coming from this particular table here. I want us to clap for ourselves until I take to the podium, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, can we clap for ourselves? And they are normally not in a rush, by the way. You keep clapping. It needs to be louder as I approach the podium. Can we do that? And you don't stop until I seem comfortable. Thank you. We will be doing this very fast. And for us to do it very fast, we need to be active physically and mentally. Si kila mtu amemaliza kula? Kama hujamaliza kula, I'll excuse you. Can we be upstanding, please? So it is the OFAB 2023 Kenya Awards, right? I want us to do an exercise so that ile chakula tumekula isifanye tukue lazy. Deborah, I hope you've gotten what I said. Okay, good stuff. So OFAB, OFAB, right? And each and every body part is very, very critical when it comes to the normal functioning of any living thing, especially the animal kingdom. Animals and we human beings involved. When the head is messed up, everything almost gets messed up. But when the head is okay, at least we function optimally, right? So can we use our heads, please, to write down the word OFAB? Just our heads. Okay? Are we ready for that? How do we go about an O? Everyone, can we do an O using our heads? Whether you're right-handed or left-handed, or you use both, there's a term for that. Scientifically, I don't know how it's called. Can we do an O? Can we do an O? Awesome. Can we do an F? Slowly. Let's start. F is like, right? So we can do, and then we strike it. Strike it again. Okay, one more time. An F. And then one strike. Second strike. Good stuff. We do an A. It has to be like that. And then like that. And then we strike in the middle, right? Let's do it. A. First. The other one. Second. The third strike. Let's do it. Good stuff. And then we do a B. Do you know how to do a B? We do one long stick up bottom, right? First belly, second belly, right? Let's try it together, ladies and gentlemen. One big stick. Good stuff. First belly, second belly. Awesome. Okay, continuously. OFAB. O. F. A, B, first belly, second belly. Clap for yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. Awesome. We can take our seats, please. Allow me to welcome on stage right now our host, Dr. Margaret Karembu. and she has quite a title, MBS ISA, which is Afri-Center Director of OFAB Kenya PC, and she's also the chair there. Please, a round of applause to Daktari Margaret Karembu. Remember, Doc, please, they haven't done what we said. So you're going to clap continuously until she feels comfortable. Good stuff. The stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Patrick. That's awesome. We say OFAB is a learning platform, so every time you come to OFAB, we learn something. Haven't you learned something so far? So no more letting your audience to pray when you have already prayed. You make sure they wake up, they stand and do exactly what you have done with the Patrick. So ladies and gentlemen, I know we have a short schedule because somehow today is a Friday. People got a bit late, but they're still coming. And we are so glad that you are able to make it. Apologies to those who came in on time. But what we'll do for those who came in late, they're going to do a dance for us before we leave. So if you know you came after 2 p.m., get ready with your beat. Now, our chief guest, Dr. Jackie Kado. As you heard, she's the Executive Director, Network of African Science Academies, NASAC. Directorate of Public Communications at the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, Miriam Rahedi, representing Professor Kisiangani. Thank you so much for coming. One of our other partners, I'm looking for her, Senior Manager Communications and Partnerships at the African Agricultural Technology Foundation, Nancy Moshiri. I haven't seen her yet, but do we have AATF in the house? I think I had seen someone. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, members of the Fourth Estate, government agencies, scientists, consumers, investors represented here, I'm so delighted to host you today during the OFAB Kenya Media Awards Gala, which is a very, very special event for the OFAB Kenya community. Many of us might be wondering, this name we are being asked to spell. What does it mean? OFAB is the Open Forum on Agricultural Biotechnology in Africa. And we have various chapters. So the chapter that is hosting to you today is the Kenya chapter. And I happen to be the chair of the programming committee of the OFAB Kenya chapter, and also one of the founding patrons of OFAB. So on behalf of the organizers and partners who I have just mentioned, we have the African Agricultural Technology Foundation. We have with us our National Biosafety Authority, represented here by Anne Muya, who was introduced earlier. We have the OFAB Kenya nodes. We have 3 Kenya nodes. One is hosted by Southeastern Kenya University, SEKU. The other one is hosted by University of Embu. Unfortunately, today was their graduation day, so the Vice Chancellor sent his apologies. They could not come. We also have Masinde Muliro University of Science and Technology. Those are the 3 OFAB county nodes. I want to convey my greetings to you all and express my utmost gratitude. I hope you can feel my heartbeat, how happy I am that I am seeing you here this afternoon in this platform. You have actually made us challenge the parable of the great banquet. You remember Matthew, for those who are religiously inclined, Matthew 22, of the banquet that was made and nobody came. So the host had to go to the streets to look for people to come, but look at the house. So I'm so glad that you didn't make us be the examples that Jesus was giving when he was doing this parable. So OFAB Kenya is the pioneer chapter of the now 10 chapters in Africa. We have Uganda, Tanzania, Ethiopia, Ghana, Burkina Faso, Nigeria, Rwanda, Mozambique, and Malawi. So 10 of these chapters, and they provide platforms for stakeholders to network, to share experiences, to learn from each other, and to interrogate some of the agri-innovations and other trends that are making waves in the scientific community and scientific landscape, to see how best we can improve on our agricultural agenda, mainly agricultural transformation, to make it more competitive, more business-oriented, and I'm always told to make it sexy so that we can have our young people getting involved in agriculture. I can at least take some bragging rights and say that OFAB Kenya has enhanced understanding, public confidence, and appreciation of biotechnology, and has had a positive impact towards evidence-based policy and decision-making. Through sensitization and policy engagements, OFAB Kenya has played a crucial role in cultivating a more facilitative environment for agricultural biotechnology in the country, whose milestone was the lifting of a 10-year-old ban on genetically modified crops in October last year. You remember when the Kenya Kwanza government came in, was sworn in, the lifting of the GM import ban was one of the executive decisions that were made, which sent a very strong and courageous signal that the government of Kenya is ready and appreciate the work of the researchers and scientists in getting biotech tools to our farmers. So the government, we are now assured, is banking on crop biotechnology to bolster farmers' production, increase incomes, transform livelihoods, and encourage our young people to get into farming so they become solutions to the food insecurity challenge instead of being the problem of the mouths that we need to feed. So through the removal of the ban, although it was good, there has been quite a lot of challenges after. You may be aware that some individuals, you know them, and a number of civil society groups moved to court to challenge that decision. And 1 year on, the cases are still on. So that sets some kind of uncertainty as to what needs to be done, especially accessing biotech seeds to farmers. The main challenges or the main concerns that have been raised are two. One is about inadequate public participation. And that is why in OFAB we really value the media, because the media are key in strengthening public engagement in public agenda items. The other issue has been the issue of safety. This is despite all the facts and the evidence that has been generated more than 2 decades, over 25 years since biotech crops were commercialized, the first one being in 1996. And trillions of meals have been served. Many scientific bodies, including the science academies in both developed and developing countries, UN bodies like the FAO, World Health Organization, they have reviewed thousands of papers and scientific studies and concluded that GM crops are as safe, if not safer, than conventional crops because of the thoroughness and the rigor in which the biosafety assessment is done. So for the last 1 year following the lifting of the ban, OFAB Kenya and her partners have revamped their efforts to intensify public engagement, awareness, sensitization, broadening our stakeholder base so that we can reach to the grassroots, the county. You know, this is a government of bottom-up, so we are starting from the bottom to the top to the bottom, so that we can all have serious engagement about matters of biotechnology, because we also appreciate that some of the concerns are genuine. We don't trivialize any concern in OFAB. We believe that every other person, because food is a basic right, we all have that opportunity to challenge what scientists are doing. And what this has done has been a positive thing, that more and more regulators are coming to assess the safety of the products, just to ensure that we are able to get safe food, but more importantly, provide that choice for stakeholders. Those who want conventional or natural, traditional, they can have that. Those who want to use technology, they can have it. It is not a prescription of either or. It is an additional tool that farmers can use, that millions of farmers around the world have used before, and they have provided results. So now with all those fears that were perpetuated, there have been a lot of misinformation, and we are now suffering from the burden of misinformation, malinformation, and disinformation. And what this has done is creating uncertainties and mistrust, especially about what scientists do, what researchers do, or what policymakers do. You are aware that the social media has also been very live to a lot of misinformation, and we always say if you receive a video clip about biotechnology, about GMOs, and you feel very scared, most likely it is a false video, so don't share it. So we always call upon stakeholders to be at the forefront of fighting misinformation. So in pursuit to maybe, I don't want to say to slaughter this dragon of misinformation, because misinformation delays decision making, misinformation delays access to innovations, misinformation enslaves stakeholders and consumers and even policymakers to make decisions, because when there is a lot of misinformation, you stop, you pause. Every time you pause, others are moving on, and so you become consumers of other people's products instead of taking the lead. So we recently launched the Africa Science Dialogue Portal, which is an inclusive and interactive platform that connects science to society by timely addressing the gaps, misinformation, and gross disinformation about agri-innovations, and also those that tackle health and environment. You also recall the amount of misinformation that happened during the pandemic. All those conclusions we made, we were not sure whether they were scientific, but, well, there was quite a heavy load of misinformation. So amid all this, journalists are poised to benefit from such platforms through exclusive access to a pool of subject matter specialists, not only in agriculture, but also in other fields of public health, planetary health, climate action, and many others. What we had seen as a trend is the use of scary images to portray what biotechnology is. I'm sure we are all very familiar with the needles injecting maize, red things injecting tomatoes, cassava with teeth, and so on, being used on a front page of a science story. So all these images have created a lot of fear and are very disturbing. And that is why the Africa Science Dialogue has decided that one of the things that we need to do, given that a picture speaks more than 1,000 words, is to provide thousands of images that journalists can access for their stories. And editors can also use to describe some of the stories that they get from the reporters. So our interaction with the editors have actually revealed that the media have limited access to images on agri-innovations, thus resulting to using those scary images. So we hope that the Fourth Estate, you'll be able to access this portal very soon so that we can improve on this. So lastly, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to mention a little bit about the awards. So over the years, OFAB Kenya Media Awards has continued to receive increasing number of entries. Our continued enhancement of journalist capacity has inspired and empowered more and more journalists into covering this beat. And that is why biotechnology has now become a public agenda item. So today we are here to celebrate. We are here to acknowledge and appreciate all those journalists, most of them who are in this room, who have struggled to write stories, to write science stories, make them palatable to our non-technical audiences to an extent, to a level that the public has been able to engage. So the winning entries were selected by an independent judging committee based on 4 main criteria. We had scientific accuracy, initiative, originality, and clarity of interpretation, and of course, based on fostering public awareness or better understanding about agricultural biotechnology. I'm sure the judges will let us know how they came up with the winners. So allow me at this juncture to recognize and thank this year's judges. They are seated right at the front here. If you can just please stand for recognition. The judges for OFAB Kenya Media Awards. I had also seen Christine. We had, Christine. So we had Christine Goku. We had Professor Ed Ngu. We had Dr. Joshua Njiro from the Kenya Bureau of Standards. And we also had Zainab Wandati, Science Editor, NTV. Thank you so much for making this occasion. If we didn't have winners, we would not have had this. You took a lot of time to scrutinize the stories that were submitted, and you are able to deliver and give us the winners. Thank you so much. So ladies and gentlemen, I know we are all beating our hearts with anticipation. And again, this is a big moment for us. And we are all looking forward to getting to know who emerged the cream in science communication, in agribiotech reporting. But let me also remind us that even those that did not make it to the judges' satisfaction, your stories were very good. This year we received excellent stories. And so I want to assure you that all the stories were very good and impactful. And to all the winners and journalists gathered here, I want to encourage you to work even harder in exploring the unlimited ability of science journalism for impact. Let me end by saying that in ISA and OFAB community, we have this saying that best is not acceptable if you can get something better than the best. Best is not acceptable if you can get something better than the best. So for those winners today, you are the best, but remember, you can still do better. Others can do better than those best. And with those remarks, I want again to welcome you to this OFAB Kenya Media Awards and appreciate you for your coming. Thank you so much.
Amazing, Sana. Let's keep. Mama kwa podium, you normally think it's easy until you're here and then you run out of words. That's when you'll appreciate if someone can take to the podium and spend a minute or two, okay? We are going to rush it, and so I'd like to call on stage. Remember what the drill is. If someone is called to the stage, please let us accompany them with a loud round of applause until they are here. It gives them courage. It's not easy. So allow me to welcome on stage Anne Moye, who's a senior biosafety officer at the National Biosafety Authority. These are the people who actually decide whether what Dr. Margaret is talking about the crops that are supposed to come into the market after they've been scientifically subjected to scrutiny can be permissible or permitted to actually hit our shelves, right? Let's do it one more time. A round of applause to Anne Moye. Good stuff.
Thank you.
The floor is yours.
Thank you, everyone. To the chief guest, Dr. Jackie Kando, Executive Director, Network of African Science Academies, the representative from the Ministry of Information, Communication and Digital Economy, Madam Miriam Rahedi, our host, Dr. Margaret Karembu, Director, ISA AfriCenter, members of the Fourth Estate, distinguished guests, all protocols observed, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It's an honor to be here today representing the National Biosafety Authority to celebrate these members of the Fourth Estate for the excellence in agricultural biotech media reporting. Indeed, it's a great opportunity. And again, thank you, our host, for inviting us and giving us an opportunity even to speak. So the National Biosafety Authority has a mandate of ensuring safety in the use, transfer, and handling of genetically modified organisms. This is the primary mandate. The National Biosafety Authority also has a role in public education and awareness creation. But often, as the regulators that we are, we usually have this question at the back of our minds. What exactly does the public need to know? Do they need to know about biotechnology? And if yes, how much of the biotechnology? Do you want to tell them how much of the DNA we used, how many microliters we pipetted, how much, how deep do we need to go in this? Do they need to know about the biosafety? And how much, again, of the biosafety? Do we need to tell them about the risks, about the risk analysis? How much of it do they need to know? Do we need to explain to them about the regulatory framework or the regulatory process? We can agree that majority of people actually do not care about all these details. What they want to know is that, is it safe? Is it beneficial to me? And at this time in Kenya, about benefits, one important question is how much does it cost? Is it cheaper? Is it more expensive? Either way, the NBA always gives the public an opportunity to take part in decision making, and especially before introduction of any new product for what we call environmental release that encompasses either cultivation by the farmer or being placed or availed in the market for consumers to buy. Biotechnology applications range from all the way from medicine, which is, I think, the most accepted form of biotechnology or other field of biotechnology. We have industry, things like field production. We have environment, or environmental prevention of pollution, detoxification of hazards. And all these, either the public accepts or they do not question much. Then we come to agricultural biotechnology. And this happens to be the biotechnological application that is most controversial. So the question is, why? Someone said somewhere that food is very spiritual. I've not yet understood that concept, but I hope to understand sometime. Because if it's spiritual, then there's good reason for the controversy. But it's good for everyone here and the entire public to rest assured that all agricultural biotechnology activities in any of the fields that I've mentioned, they are evaluated for safety by the NBA together with the other regulatory agencies that work with the NBA before they are approved to go forward. And we, in the past, as we engage with the public, because like I said, the public is usually given an opportunity to give their opinions before any approvals. And we have realized that most of the risks or most of the fears that people have are based on perceived risks rather than actual risks. And this is because, again, you know, if it's about perceiving, it can stretch as much as your imagination can stretch. People have imagined all kinds of things that can happen, all kinds of bad things that can happen as a result of biotechnology and GMOs. And it turns out that it's like negative information regarding biotechnology has always, since the incept of biotechnology, the negative information has always carried more weight than the positive information. So the question is, why is this? Where is the voice of assurance? Why can't the assurance of biosafety, why hasn't it been able to cancel out the voice of fear of biotechnology? And regarding this, we recognize that maybe our communication of biosafety has not been at par. Maybe we are lacking in skills, in language, and even in the means that we use to communicate, for our communication to be actually effective. And I think this is a good point to actually recognize ISA, OFAB, and AATF for their involvement, because they have actually helped a lot in public education, awareness creation, and communication of biotechnology as well as biosafety. And also recognize and appreciate the achievements and talents of all the members of the Fourth Estate here, because we understand you have the skills for communicating better than we do at National Biosafety Authority. So thank you so much for participating and even showing the eagerness to communicate this important topic that has become controversial for many years. And congratulations to all the winners, and not just the ones that will be receiving the awards, but everyone who wrote an article. Congratulations to you on behalf of the NBA. And finally, and also very importantly, I would like to pass the CEO message to the organizers, to our host, that NBA commits to pursue greater collaboration. And as a government agency, the NBA is ready to serve as a co-host of OFAB Kenya chapter in line with other chapters in the region. So once again, thank you for the much that you've done as OFAB, ISA, ATF, and everyone else that is involved in this. Thank you so much.
Grammarly's 5 tips for
Amazing.
professional.
One more round. Anne Moyer, Senior Biosafety Officer. A speaker. This is going to be the official address from the one and only Dr. Jackie Kado, who's the Executive Director of the Network of African Science Academies, NASAC, who will be addressing it very briefly, and shortly thereafter I'd like Christine Guku to prepare so that she can actually tell us what the judges were looking out for before deciding who's gonna take today's awards. And then after that we will be getting into the award presentation and photo session very quickly, okay? And the crew, the entertainment crew, stand by just in case we'll need you to come in handy, because unajua, when it comes to these events, everything might not run as planned. So sometimes we have to come up with stopgap measures to ensure that there is no dead moment on stage. So, tengeneza African music hapo hivyo, watu wanengue viuno in not so long a time. Deborah, what I just said is that we are putting in place a playlist so that we can dance a bit before we give these awards to the people who deserve. Please, another applause to Jackie Kado. Until she takes up to the stage, let us not stop clapping. Let's keep clapping, please. Thank you very much. The floor is yours, Dr.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here. Good afternoon. You guys can do better than that. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Awesome. No, without you, Henry. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Okay, now I can hear everyone. So my name is Jackie Kado. I work with the Network of African Science Academies. Usually I like to start by asking how many people know what science academies are? Show of hands. Anybody? Somebody? Only Margaret? Okay. A quick intro of what science academies are. If you're a Kenyan, most people think you're schools, yeah? Group of schools, right? No, that's not who we are. You might also think that we are universities, research institutes. No? No, we are not. So science academies, in short, are associations of scientists in any country that come together and form an organization called an academy. So the best brains is what we call them. They serve as the brains trust and therefore form an academy to be able to inject science into various aspects of our life. It starts with policy making, goes into the public and society, but also science for science, science itself, because we want African scientists who are able to do world-class science. There's no African science, there's no Kenyan science, it's just science. So we need good scientists as well. So that's what science academies are. The network, because now that you know what science academies are, the network itself is a consortium of science academies in the continent. Currently, we are proud to have 29 science academies in the continent, out of which all are NASAC members. NASAC is short for Network of African Science Academies. So ladies and gentlemen, allow me then to make a few remarks on this occasion where we're celebrating the media fraternity for being able to communicate science, not just well, but meticulously well. Just a round of applause for the journalist in the house. Thank you. So I start also by recognizing the group that is sitting with me at the high table. I have Miriam Rahedi, who we're honored to have you from the ministry, who serves as the director for the Directorate of Public Communications. I have Anne Muya, who you've just heard, also from a senior biosafety officer from the National Biosafety Authority. And then I have Margaret, of course you've also heard from her, our host today, chair of OFAB in Kenya. But then Nancy Mushiri, who I'm yet to meet, I hope she would also say hi, who is the senior manager for communications and partnership for AATF. Invited guests, journalists, as well as ladies and gentlemen. I'm truly honored to join you this afternoon for the Open Forum on Agriculture Biotechnology in Africa, OFAB, Kenya Media Awards. Please accept my sincere gratitude to the organizer, especially for inviting me on this occasion. This is my second award to participate, and to be able to join you as part of this special gala this afternoon. As you may have already been aware, this event aims to recognize and celebrate journalists who have consistently reported and sensitized the public on stories that deal with agricultural biotechnology. I am reliably informed that these awards have promoted excellence in science journalism by motivating the media to invest more in reporting agricultural biotechnology stories. There's no doubt in my mind whatsoever that OFAB Kenya has played a critical role in enhancing the public understanding and facilitating the acceptance of biotechnologies and innovations in agriculture. For us, because we are a science organization, communicating science well is critical and at the top of what we stand for. The tools and innovations that come with huge potential from the science fraternity enable us to enhance our food systems, address food insecurity, as well as transform our social economics. Especially for Kenya, that we keep saying the shilling is really taking a hit. It is important when you're able to do much more with with less money so that we can stretch the shilling. Ladies and gentlemen, the Kenyan media houses, and also we've seen also from social media, that they've become a key driver towards the realization of national development goals. So there's a link between what we see in our media houses and what the government aspires for the country. We are truly, truly in awe at how the Kenyan media fraternity has really grown and developed over the years. They've really tried to promote not just cohesive reporting, responsible reporting, but also interactively engaging with their audiences to ensure that there's knowledge sharing and also actualization of important science-based intervention. The need to be able to have an interactive platform, it means that the media and the science is not speaking at people, but speaking with people. I personally laud the Fourth Estate for spearheading the national dialogue on key economic sectors such as education, health, and agriculture. These are critical because they are indeed the drivers that inform the well-being of our own humanity as well as the well-being of our society. The recommendations from such forums are key in shaping better policies because policies inform what better life looks like. We've tried to improve very many sectors, especially the fundamental ones that engage the economy very more intently, to be sure that we get the right information. And I think Margaret spoke about misinformation, disinformation, and sometimes even just lack of information that impacts negatively on our society. It goes without saying that our media can make a big contribution towards widening not just the gap of the knowledge gap that we see in society, but also to safeguard the democratic space of our country. The independence of the media has inspired the spirit of responsibility and openness in public service by exposing excesses or corruption, as well as any other ills in society, and therefore enables us to make power accountable to its people. Ladies and gentlemen, the network of African Science Academies is dedicated to enabling and interconnecting African Science Academies to not only contribute science to science, which is science for science, science to society to be able to inform the public better about the benefits of not just using science, but also ensuring that humanity progresses through responsible science. But also science for policy, to ensure that our policies are sound and are fit for purpose for a society that is upward moving towards better development and sustainable development as such. So when you have a good scientist and you have a good journalist, what is the hybrid of those two people? What is a hybrid? Anyone? I like being interactive when I speak because then the stage is not so lonely. What is, if you have the best scientists and you have the best journalists, what's the hybrid of the two? What? Science communicator is one. Another try. I realize these days that just because you can read and write doesn't make you a good communicator, right? Okay. So try one more time. The best of science and the best of journalism. What do I have? You can do it. Anyone? Science communicator is one word. What's another name that combines science and journalism? Exactly. A round of applause. So we really aspire to get the best of that science being communicated by the best of the journalists through science journalism. Science journalism is important because then it means we are communicating science that's devoid of jargons, but we are also using science that is utilitarian, science that is useful, science that can be understood by somebody who never visited a class, not even a day in their life. So we're trying to get mechanisms to be able to train more science journalists because we need the best of both worlds for our mission to succeed. In the same vein, we also count on the media as a key partner in our quest to transform Africa's development through scientific breakthroughs and challenging policies, not just to be informed by evidence. The media has walked the journey with us and continues to share, package, and amplify scientific knowledge with communities. Through impact journalism, grassroots and communities today appreciate the role of science in addressing biting challenges such as food insecurity, crop and animal diseases, and other effects of climate change, especially in this era. By extension, we know that the media has become an important advocate and an enabler of evidence-based and evidence-informed policy decision, because they are indeed the mouthpiece that community uses not just to communicate what's ailing them, but also the science, to communicate the best of science. We're living in a digital era where overabundance of information has proven overwhelming to handle. In that case, it is also possible to say that each and every one of you in this room is actually a media house and can be able to influence the policies and the trends of information that we have out there. Explosion of misinformation has rocked the very essence of our information systems. New innovations such as agricultural biotechnology have borne the heaviest brand of lies and myths that perpetuate public fear and mistrust, especially about technology. And we both know, I mean, you and I, know that fear and mistrust cannot cohabit. You either are fearful or you either trust what is being sold to you. I appreciate OFAB Kenya, especially the community, that puts together a spirited fight against misinformation, especially to assure us, the community and the public at large, of the safety of genetically modified foods or genetically modified organisms, which is GMOs. NASAC, in its own mandate, is also committed to joining the fight against miscommunications, and specifically around genetically modified organisms, as well as gene editing technology itself, and any other new breeding technologies that we have. We welcome the collaboration with partners implementing the African Science Dialogue Hub, for which NASAC is also a party to, and the newly launched platform that addresses misinformation and its effects on innovations. I also invite the media to utilize the hub, and I think Margaret said that very well, to be able to enrich its own knowledge base when it comes to science, but also to access a wide pool of experts that the hub provides as we challenge more partners to join in and wrestle the menace of misinformation wholeheartedly. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to all rise up to the occasion to make media a powerful driver of innovations and transformation in society. The media fundamentally inspires public dialogue and therefore influences the audience perception and opinion on societal issues. The media bears a unique reputation in bringing science, technology, and innovation into the fore, and especially in the public sphere. This has been pivotal in cultivating public awareness for innovative technologies to improve our society, but also most critical, to generate public trust in science. I challenge the members of the Fourth Estate to always remember that balanced reporting shapes policies, but it also transforms society, which is an absolute most significant role that our Fourth Estate can play. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to thank you again, especially the applicants for the prize today, who managed to offer themselves to be considered for today's award. Allow me to convey my utmost congratulations to the winners who will be unveiled today. And for that, with those few remarks, I want to say thank you very much.
Okay, start clapping, she says. And you don't stop. I can see all the tables that are not clapping.
Thank you. appreciate this opportunity to speak to us, us the journalists and us the scientists. About 3 or 4 years ago, I attended a science congress in Mombasa, and we were telling the scientists to unpack their language to something that we can understand as journalists. And they were having a very difficult time. We are still working hard at it, and I know we will get there. Our chief guest, Dr. Jackie Kado, thank you so much for making my work very easy, because 3/4 of the things I was going to say I will not need to repeat. You have said them. Madam Miriam Rahedi, we want to recognize your presence. Dr. Margaret Karembu, thank you for being here. Anne Muia, thank you. And Meryl Yongo. Did anybody notice anything about what I've just said? It's a women's world, guys. No. So we want to appreciate that. It was a good thing that in the judging team we had 2 ladies and 2 gentlemen, 2 scientists and 2 journalists. So there was quite some balance there. Now the job of a journalist is to tell the story of society. It's about men and women. It's about children. It's about young people. It's about the elderly. It's about telling the story of everyone in society. And science is about the same people. So I don't know at which point we were left behind by the scientists as they went ahead, and we, the journalists, were left writing stories and decided their content is too complex for us. Our job as journalists is to unpack the complex issues for consumption, to make the story of science relevant, to highlight issues of concern, to give a voice to all, whether they are policymakers, legislators, campaigners, citizens, experts, scientists, and just the regular household. It is also to educate the masses. And so where do we get our content? To educate. Science is one of the places where we can get that kind of content. What is the place of science in journalism? It is to interpret the complex science into bite-sized information that can inform and shape opinion of the listeners, of the readers. So I want to just give you a sneak preview into what we were looking for in the stories. The first thing we were looking for was accuracy, the scientific accuracy, the credibility and completeness of that story. We were also looking for initiative. Did you go out of your way as a journalist just to get that story, or to get that story interpreted for you? Originality. How different was this story from what has already been told about a particular issue or the issue that you're writing about? We were looking for clarity of interpretation. When you interpreted agrobiotech, did it make sense to your audience? Did it make sense to your reader? We were also looking for impact. Here is where we were looking at the message, the value in fostering better public understanding of agri-biotech. So those were basically all the things that we were looking for. Sitting as a journalist, it's not rocket science. It is stuff that we can do easily. So we ought to up our game and get there. For those who are in the room, those who submitted stories, got shortlisted, and even won. Congratulations, good job. Our experience as we went through the stories, we found stories that were very well told. Stories that were well framed. Those lifted our hearts and told us that there is hope that agri-biotech can be better understood and embraced. We found also stories that needed to be unpacked because they were full of jargon. Jargon that needed to be explained in simple words. Jargon that needed to be unpacked. In fact, translated into other simpler English words. We found stories that required additional research. Research is important in journalism because it is an area that helps you to situate the story, contextualize the story, and be able to tell the story of our proverbial Wanjiku in our country. We also needed stories to be varied, the experts in the science. If all of you went to one event, you all interviewed the same people. Was that all the people that could be interviewed in that particular event or in that conference? So it was important. So from the decision-making level, all the way to the guys in the trenches in science. And so, it is for us to challenge you. As the judges, we want to challenge you to take the story outside the conference room. Take the story of science into the household. Make it easy to understand and shape the opinion and the decisions that are made at the household level. In the household is where we have the farmer, we have the businessman, we have the market woman. And so if you take the science into the household and they're able to interpret all of that, imagine the scientists will not be struggling. Let me finalize with the 2 comments on where we are going. For the journalists, maximize on the tools you have and the platforms that exist today. If your story was in print, please make sure you can do a podcast of the same. If your story was in broadcast, make sure you can make it a digital story and publish it somewhere, even on WordPress, someplace. Blog even about your story. We need to spread the word about agribiotech, to unpack those myths and to demystify. It is time for us to remove the stigma which has come upon agribiotech and say actually it is based on misinformation. The second comment is that you are a walking media house. Never forget that. You are a walking media house. On a day like today, we don't need walls and a door to say we are walking into a media house. You yourself are that media house. You're literally the media house. So take up the challenge. Talk to the scientists. Talk to the people at the grassroots where the tests are being done. Talk to the people where the results have been found. And let's amplify the voices of the science space. Thank you very much.
Can we clap her for giving us an additional, clap for her rather for giving us an additional 20 minutes. She was supposed to be leaving at 4. It's several minutes after 4. And the reason as to why we wanted to have her stick around is because she's supposed to give the overall winner their award, but they were not here. Now I'm told they're here. Okay? Amazing stuff. Now we are going to go into the moment that we've all been waiting for, the awards presentation. Are we ready for this? Do we have all the journalists who participated around? I can see you. I used to be active in business reporting a while back before the love for radio took me away. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to start by calling on stage our host, Dr. Margaret Karembu, one more time. equally like to call on stage Anne Moyer from the National Biosafety Authority. Let's clap for them. Those are lazy claps. That's better. Thank you. I see those people who are not clapping on that table. We see you. You're not clapping. And then, give me Edna. Where are you? Where's Edna? Okay, come with a list, please. She's the one who's ensured that everything is happening the way it's supposed to happen. Sijui ni nani ameshinda, chukua hii hapa umeiweka upside down. Kuja nao kwa stage so that tucheze tiki-taka. In the meantime, tunataka ma backdrop. So that wajue is the OFAB Kenya Media Awards of 2023. Be happening. But before you do that, don't announce yet. There is something I've been told that I need to read. And thanks to technology, it's been wired. Imetoka ngambo. Imetoka ngambo. Hii brief imetoka ngambo. Ngambo, Deborah, is just abroad. And this is what it says. Okay? Are we ready? Kuna pin drop silence up. Second runners up. This is a trained, qualified, and professional journalist who writes agricultural stories in English and Swahili. Okay? I will avoid the article before that. So they possess a keen interest in biotechnology, innovation, climate change, and environment. Are we together? And this year, they did submit stories touching on the plight of farmers to access BT cotton seeds, the process that GMO products are subjected to in the country, and the role that GMO products have to play in the feed sector. BT cotton, by the way, is not biotechnology cotton. It has a scientific kind of pronunciation to it. What do we go about?
Bacillus thuringiensis.
Bacillus?
Bacillus thuringiensis, but in non-technical terms, it's insect-resistant cotton.
Okay, Bacillus, Amani, syllabus, Amani, those who write on matters biotechnology. Yes, that's BT cotton. And so, Anne, take it away. Tell us who the second runners-up for the OFAB Kenya Media Awards of 2023 is.
All the attention is on me now. So, in recognition of outstanding achievement as the second runner-up of the OFAB Kenya Media Awards 2023, this certificate is presented to
1, 2, and 3.
Sami Waweru.
Is your design. Sami Wawesh, wapi makofi ya maana kwa huyu mwandishi habari hatari, hata ukujua ni yako, amepata tumbo joto. Please. Amazing sana. Wapiga picha, angalia kamera, piga smile. Your design, Sami Wawesh. Alikuwa ametoka feel, hakuwa na habari, ni anashinda. Alafu anapata maganji. Mambo ni matatu. Just 60,000 Kenya. Oh, nacheza na 60,000 kwa hii economy ya Ruto. Noma sana. Sami Wawero. Jibambe.
Thank you. I am Sami Waweru. I work for the Daily Nation, specifically Seeds of Gold, with an interest in agricultural biotech, climate change, environment, and other agricultural stories. Nigeuze kwa Kiswahili. Hii award imenifikia kwa kishindo. Sikuwa naamini kwamba ningeibuka miongoni mwa wale ambao wataorodheshwa kupata tuzo hii ya kuangazia masuala ya biotechnology. Nashukuru sana kwa the organizers, OFAB, ISA, AATF, na zaidi ya yote pia nashukuru mwajiri wangu ndiye Nation Media Group. Asante.
Amazing sana. Umesikia anaongea Kiswahili na Kizungu. Safi sana. It's not easy kupata journalist anapiganisha zote mbili, English and Swahili. I hope we are together, Deborah. Good stuff. Twende sana. Wasonge songe. Mumuachie na cheki yake ang'are. Hiyo design. Leo by midnight itakuwa imehit account yake. Mbaya sana. Na leo ni Friday, Wawero, situsahau please. Kindly. Sindio? Chukua 10 rudisha. Nancy Mushiri, Edna. Oh, are you go area? No problem. Let's adjust. Acha tuingie back room. Miriam, kuja kwa stage sasa. No, let's keep clapping, man. Ama mtalipia hiyo chakula mmekula na hiyo vinywaji. Thank you very much indeed. Sindio? Hiyo check ya pili iko. Unajua tukienda chini check nayo inapanda juu. Amazing sana. Aya. So inao ni hatari. Hizo zero ni nyingi. Too many zeros. Again, I've been told I need to actually read something here so that we know who we are talking about. First one is up, okay? This is a highly accomplished professional with a strong background in senior level editorial roles and project management. This particular individual excels in content curation, development and publication management across diverse platforms. In this year's awards, they submitted stories that focused on the depths of research Kenya has invested in to develop GMO, demystifying GMO technology and the harsh realities that forced Kenya to go the GMO way. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let us get to hear who the first runners up is. And this is being presented to us by the one and only Miriam. The floor is yours. Take it away.
Well, you've heard the accolades that the first runner-up has received. And we really appreciate science editors, journalists, sorry. You remember, I wasn't supposed to make a speech, but just one thing. During the time of COVID, when there were many clips going around about how if you get the injection, you become magnetic, and there were spoons.
And coins.
Spoons sticking on our elbows, on our arms. Thank you, journalists, for unpacking that for us, and also especially for checking out the false information. Now, the certificate of recognition is presented to
1, 2, 3.
Helen Asewe Miseda.
Helen Asewe. Amazing sana. Hakuwa na habari. She had no idea. Good stuff. Wapi check bwana. Pesa ni sabuni ya roho. Amazing. Helen alikuwa anaenda kesha leo. Akasahau kuna award ceremony. Akapigiwa simu akakimbia. Wapiga picha tuko sawa? Ama tena? Amazing sana. Helen Asewe Miseda. Tupu kwa stage. It's a woman's ball. Christina alituambia. Twende sana. We good? I'm a panic. You didn't expect that? Chukua microphone. Kano na uwezo wako wa kuandika, wacha tusikie unaongea aje.
Thank you so much. This was totally unexpected. I was actually in the office on Mombasa Road.
Oh, see Kesha.
So I didn't even have an idea, and somebody just called me and told me, please come to the award ceremony in Serena, you're needed. So I've come just by faith, and I'm just humbled that I've been mentioned, and I thank God so much for this. I just want to thank my family, my media house, The Standard. I'm an editor at The Standard, and Standard has been very supportive to us who are interested in biotechnology issues. And I also want to thank ISA for this opportunity for recognizing the journalists who are doing exceptional work. Thank you.
Amazing sana. Alikuja kwa imani. Deborah, that means she came by faith. Na wale ambao wanasoma maandiko wanasemanga faith comes by and hearing. Umesikia? Mlacheza aleni. Awesome sana. Thank you very much indeed. Awesome. Another round of applause for her. It's not easy. And then this is now the overall winner. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome to you the winner. This year's winner is a bilingual, multimedia journalist at the, should we go ahead, Nation Media Group? A versatile multimedia journalist with over 8 years experience in news gathering, live reporting, feature and long-form storytelling. They have a bias for human interest stories touching on the environment and conservation. In this year's award, they submitted stories touching on unpacking the role of GMO products and also the role that GMO products have to play in Kenya's agricultural sector. And they shared the voices of scientists in the GMO debate and how GMO can be used as relief food. Okay? Yozi ni mzito. Apiwe makofi man. And I like it because you said when journalists and scientists come together, we have science journalism, right?
Yes.
Okay. The floor is yours, Dr. Jackie.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is of great honor to butcher this name. I have no clue how to pronounce it, so you will forgive me. It starts with a B and a R and a Y. Is there anybody in the room whose name starts with those letters?
Wewe. Twende sana.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to have, please pronounce your name, Bridget Ghana.
Amazing sana. Numero uno. Bridget. Twende sana DJ, I like that. Tusimame sote. Let's celebrate this amazing soul. Twende DJ, up the volume. Ate. Watingiza mabega na mwili bwana. Let's go. I see all of you who are seated. Mko na wivu nini? Twende. Tupigie makofi. Let's go. Louder. Shikilia Mr. DJ. Awesome sana. We? Hadi amerushiwa shine. Amazing. We can take our seats, please. Bridget, mambo vipi?
Poa sana.
Twende sana.
Asante.
Tuambie.
Sina mengi ya kusema.
100.
So thank you so much. I'm really grateful for OFAB. This was like a long shot, a shot in the dark. But I'm just 2 years old in science journalism, and this is quite encouraging. And I just want to give a huge round of applause to the editors at Nation Media Group, the Science Hub. If I can just mention Bernard Mwinzi, Zainab Wandati, all the way to the entire management, the editor-in-chief, Joe Ageo. He is a scientist, and he's the one who actually assigned me this story that has won. And I just want to say thank you to the entire team. My camera person, Samdo, if you're in the house, please just come. I do not want to say that this is my own effort. It is a team. And so I just want also, guys, clap for Sam. He's the one behind the pictures. I just want to say thank you so much. And yes, we will keep doing this. Actually, yeah, we'll keep doing it. Thank you so much. Good.
Amazing kabisa. Kaka hapo kwanza Bridget. Acha nikuju. Umemaliza picha? Oh, yake peke yake. Sam ni nani tena? Sam ndio mpiga picha. Amazing. Camera person. Shikilia vizuri. Hii ni ngiriso moja. It's 11:59. Angalia account. Sawa?
The champion, the lion is here.
Yes, I. Okay, Sammy, where are you? Come to the stage. Twende sana. Shikilia Mr. DJ. Kaeni hapo. Tumemaliza. By the way, it's over. It's done. Miriam and come to the stage also. Tuchukue hizo picha. And then in the meantime, judges also be upstanding. After tumepiga hizi, pia nyinyi mtaingia tutwange picha. And then after that, we'll be almost done, okay? Wapiga picha, another one. Twende DJ. Amazing. Okay, judges please. Hata nyinyi pigweni picha hata kama mjapigwa kitu. It is okay. Si ndio? Kabisa. Christine, Twende sana DJ. Smile. Twende sana. Sam, cheka kidogo. Amazing. Kabisa. Thank you. Appreciate it. Dr. Jackie, remain there. Dr. Margaret, remain there. Dr. Jackie Kado, Executive Director of the Network of African Science Academies. I'm given to understand that's an appreciation from ISA or OFAB? OFAB.
OFAB, ISA.
It's an appreciation from OFAB and ISA. Thank you very much for honoring this invitation to come and grace today's award ceremony. Thank you very much indeed. Can take your seats. DJ. Is everyone paying attention? Edna. Sir, I want us to pay attention to this. We want to do what we call a one-word story. Can you say one-word story? One-word story. So I'll pass this microphone to a table like here and give it to Christine here. And I want this table to give us a one-word story. So for instance, I'll give you the simplest example. When we were in primary and we were being taught about planets. You remember the song, My Very Educated? You know that song? Let's go. My very educated mother just amukusoma science primary. How did you know about Mars, Jupiter, Pluto, Nini? My very educated mother just showed us 9 planets, right? So Mars, Venus, Earth, Mercury. Oh, Mercury. You get it? Amazing. So that's what we're going to do. Very briefly. Dr. Margaret, we're waiting for you. Finish up. Finish up. So start a story. Any story. Give me one word. And you toss it over to her. She gives us another word. So you can say, my name is Dr. Karembu. I am 40 years. And the story should not stop. Okay. One word per person. And the story should flow. Are we together? Yes. Start preparing. Because each and every table will do that. One word per person. Story flows. No 2 words. Can we try? Yes. Let's go.
This is
great. Day.
Biotechnology.
It is very great today, biotechnology.
Off.
Winning. Have you gotten the drill? Let's try this table and see. Let's go.
Once.
Upon.
A time.
A time. 2 words. Wait. Microphone. The mic has refused. Let's try this one. Woza. Wamezima mic. The story mekataa kuflow. Okay. One more time. Let's do it from this side now. 1, 2, 1, 2.
There
was a
media
house
that
came
up. Win awards
by technology.
Amfikiria haraka jamani. One more time. Let's start it here. Another story. Acheneni na mambo ya biotechnology awards. That is so simple. Si ndio? Simukwe creative. One more time.
I was in church today.
Amazing. So she was in church today. What happened, brother?
2.
Today. Yeah, Mugo creative. Anyway, let's clap for ourselves, ladies and gentlemen. Awesome sana, sindio? Dr. Karembu, can we give out these awards, please? These certificates, rather. Okay? These are all the participants, actually, people who were bold enough to try their luck when it comes to the 2023 OFAB Kenya Media Awards. Not everyone emerges a winner, but then again, wanasemaga, the first step is the most important, right? Yes. And you might not have won today, but then again, there is another time. The fact that you have faith, like the lady who was the first one is up, to just take that bold move, send in your pieces, and hope that you're going to win Mtwango Power, that was bold enough. Yeah. and you're the best one way or the other. Most people don't even try because they fear failing. So if they did try, we are supposed to recognize them.
And what happened to Patrick Igunza? Did you try?
Me. There's no category for radio. It's a newspaper.
So you see, because you didn't try.
For radio?
Yes.
Yes. Are they? I've won before. I wanted other people to win.
Okay, so thank you once again. As I said, everyone was a winner. The stories were great, and we have moved from far. So the judges advised that they have arranged these certificates according to some ranking. So I asked them, is it from top to bottom or bottom to bottom up? They said, once you read the names, they'll know.
They are saying that we just decided to arrange them randomly.
I was told that they had been arranged.
I've been told that they have not been arranged.
But the audience will decide whether it was highest to the lowest, or bottom up, or top bottom.
Now the host has said, if the host says, we cannot argue, right? Take it away, Dr.
Anyhow, since I was not told whether it is from top, bottom, or bottom up, I'll just read the names. So I want to call upon David Njage. David Njage, where are you?
Makofi kwa David Njage.
Certificate of Recognition of Outstanding Contribution to Agricultural Biotechnology Reporting and Submitting Stories to the OFAB 2023 Media Awards. We appreciate that. Okay, then again, in recognition of outstanding contribution, this certificate is awarded to Dennis Avokoya. David? Okay, so Dennis, congratulations. Next time you'll go with a check. So what I have been advised by the MC, again in respect of people's time, we want to call all the, I want to call out all the certificates, and then we'll stand here for a group photo. So may I have Peter Theuri? Peter Theuri, are you there? Peter Theuri, I thought I saw Peter.
Peter, we saw you. Where are you? There's also Asha.
Then we
Bekidusa.
have Mase Chelangat, Asha Bekidusa.
Amazing sana.
That's Mase.
David Kagina.
Mase. Oh, Asha. Sorry. This is Asha Bekidusa. Then we have Mase Chelangat. Just
amazing. Usiende Asha.
Remain.
Maintain.
And even the two.
Mildred
Sabwami.
Asante sana.
And as Sabwami is coming, we have David Kagina.
Makofi bana. Hey.
Clap. Since some didn't submit, then we have Jesse Chenge, and we have
David, unachukulia David?
Oh, David.
Amazing sana. Ametuma representative.
Okay.
It's hiyo ni yours. Oh, amazing.
Jesse
Chenge.
Congratulations.
Si typo, haikuwa Chenge, hiyo ni Chenge. Hibak Said Mohammed.
Yeah. And Alexander Mwangi.
Aleki kuja hapo hivi. Asante sana.
So you're all winners. Just stand there. Alexander, and then we have Gerard Andae.
Bazenga.
Okay, that's Alexander.
I saw him around. Tulikuona Gerald.
Gerard Andae, where are you? Okay, keep it. We have Okongo Oduya.
Twende sana, asante.
Very good. So you are staring at the next OFAB 2024 winners. Karibu. Jacob Ngetich.
Jacob
Ngetich. And as Jacob is coming, we can have Victoria Auma Magar.
Twende sana. Round of applause to this amazing lady.
Victoria. Then we have Sharon Esther.
Ambani.
Oh,
Ndio Sharon. Noma sana. Polka dot Atario.
Okay. So we have Sharon Esther. Congratulations.
Makofi ya maana.
Godfrey Ombogo. Oh,
ndio huyo. Makofi ya mzito.
Godfrey comes, you have Victor
Wetende. This is my former colleague. Sijamuona.
Hujamuona?
Sijamuona. Victor Wetende. Sijui nimchukulia. Nimchukulia.
Okay. We have James Kahonge.
Twende sana.
Yeah, good.
Kahonge with an H at the end.
So this is meant to encourage those who did not submit.
Yes,
that we really have people, journalists who are trying and doing their best.
Kabisa.
Japheth Makau Kiiti.
Jafo.
Paul Thiongo Bugwa.
Paul Thiongo, kabisa.
Good.
Wako area.
Mary Cherotich.
Cheboy. Ndio huyo sasa.
Okay. Very good balance.
Amazing sana hii. I'm impressed.
Oh, Japheth. Okay. That's Mercy.
Mercy.
Congratulations. Jacob Walter. Oh, you can take it for him. Okay.
Good.
Then we have Rose Wangoi.
Sawa.
She's not
wachukulie. Hizi aturudi nazo.
Robert
Malala.
There is Robert
Malala. Wewe na Cleopas. Tunaona sana.
Mase Tyra Murengu.
Masi, makofi. Ya Masi Tyra. Murengu.
Congratulations.
One more time, Rose Wangoi.
Rose here. Oh, you want to take for Rose? Okay.
Anachukulia pia.
Oh, Daily Nation.
Anachukulia pia Gerald and
Gerald is also Daily Nation.
Peter Theuri. Colleagues wa Peter Theuri. Alitoka. Akasubmit. Haina no.
Okay.
Jacob Ngetich.
Any colleague?
Colleague wa Jacob Ngetich.
Which media house? And then
Victor Wetende. Hizi tutabaki nazo.
Okay.
Aya, picha sasa.
Let me invite the judges again to come and take with this group.
Please.
These are the ones that you selected through. Let me also invite the ISA OFAB team, the secretariat, because I know they worked very hard to read all the stories to ensure they get the shortlisting.
Call them out that
ISA
time.
and OFAB secretariat, all of us, let's come here. If you don't come, you know you have a sack. So that's a direct. Where is Edna? Edna, Ezekiel. Ezekiel. Walter. Where is Walter? Where did people go? Oh, okay. All right. Walter. Walter Langat, before your sack letter gets to you. Walter.
Nani mwingine, Doc?
Miriam, you can join us, and Anne. Miriam and Anne, join us.
And who else? I'll go for them.
Then from there, now the rest of the team will come on stage.
Okay. In a delegation.
See, this is a powerful. I'm so happy because I'm assured that we have continuity.
Haya, smile. Wider smile. Amazing, Sarah.
Okay, are the winners here so that they can now come and join the winners?
Wameenda kubank check.
Tayari. The winners. Oh, Bridget has left, eh? Okay. Bridget.
Ametoa nguo, amevaa sasa ya kazi.
Ako kwa field.
Helen, Agapi Helen. Come, it's okay. Uko fiti yo. Agapi Helen.
Commitment.
Ameenda kubank check, I know. Twende sasa, piga picha. Ngojea huyu showstopper. Asito smile kidogo bana. Ni Friday. Amazing.
Okay, now let's have everyone on stage here so that we take a group photo.
Everyone. Kila mtu.
All our hosts.
All
our guests.
Mwenye akuja anajilipia.
All our guests. Please come.
Kujeni. Everyone. Hata nyima waiter kujeni, kwani niko nini? Kujeni nyi wote. Bazenga na kuona sana. Kama hujaambia mdosi wako uko hapa, shauri yako. Kitakuramba mbaya sana. Hata soundman, cameraman, kila kitu automated. Ezekiel na gumbogi yako. Sasa hiyo ni professionalism. Wengine wakae chini, balance nini, aspect ratio. Kabisa. Wengine mukalie stage. Musi widen. Certificate unataka kuwa na dami. Usioneshane jina. Shikilia upside down wasisome. Nani mwingine hajaingia kwa picha hapa? Mimi ni wa mwisho, mimi ni captain. I'm the last one to disembark. Oh, kujoin, sorry. Shika dummy upside down. Hii hakuna repeat. It has to be perfect. Kabisa. Yes. Mnakaa poa. Are we okay?
everybody for you. Body just shake belly. But in some fun tell belly. Deliver like I get belly. Them say I dey go sell.
Are passed to the journalists, and that is why you saw so many of them actually did try, and they submitted their entries. And so, in recognition of the role that you have continued playing to encourage and inspire our science journalists, we have a small token of appreciation and a certificate. So this goes to Christine Nguku, and Christine is
Makofi ya maana kwa
Council
Christine
of Kenya, of course. And we are so grateful that you could make it to be a judge. I know how busy your office is. I know how busy, Joshua, your office is at the Kenya Bureau of Standards, but you availed yourself. You did the best. You gave us winners, and you also gave us good thoughts for next steps. So this is
Makofi kwa Joshua Daktari.
Okay. And of course, Prof, you haven't had a science communicator who is able to break down deoxyribonucleic acid. You know what that is? What is that? DNA. Ah, good. This is the professor, Professor Ed Gu from University of Nairobi. We are so grateful. Again, we know he was very strict. They were very strict. You know, I was looking at the attributes of the judges we had this year. You know, he marks for students. You know what that means. Christine, marks for journalists. Joshua, there with regulators and standards. Standards, Kenya Bureau of Standards, so you know what that means. Of course, we had Zainab Wandati. I understand she could still be somewhere engaged doing national service, so we'll also pass the small token to her. And thank you so much. When we call upon you, please, and when you have those new ideas that you have given us to improve on training and mentoring our journalists, please feel free. It's not closed yet. We still have an open door for you for those ideas. Thank you so much. We appreciate. Yeah. And me?
Amazing, Mr. DJ.
Without whom we would not have any stories, because there will be no approvals done and there'll be no way of gauging whether we have products or not. So we want to also appreciate Anne Muya from the National Biosafety Authority. Come on stage, Anne. Thank you for the great work you're doing, assuring and ensuring that scientists are responsible and they only give us safe products for food, feed, and environment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, last but not least, let me invite our co-guest, co-guest of honor, Miriam Rahedi, Director, Ministry. You know, if we don't have big government here, all we would be doing would be in vain. So we really appreciate that the office of the CS and the PS found it fitting to honor this occasion. So thank you so much, and pass our regards to the CS and the PS.
Amazing, and I'll ask Miriam to stay on stage so that you can give us final remarks as we almost bring today's event to a close.
Thank you, everyone, for staying this long. It's not my event, but I'm thanking you anyway. And especially thank you for being, as I said before, being science journalists. All governments have, especially the Kenyan ones, have key on their agenda food security. And without us unpacking this complicated science, many of us would not know that there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes. If it wasn't for you, we would not have known about tissue culture bananas, sweet potatoes, improved cassava, and even in the health sector, kangaroo mother, malaria, vaccines, mosquito-treated nets, all of these which contribute to our well-being. And you know, you need to continue telling us that science is real, even if you don't believe in it. Because I would be hesitant sometimes to eat GMO food. They say that it causes infertility. Yet I go to the clinic to get family planning whatever. So you need to tell us that it doesn't work quite like that. Although the jury is still out on this GMO thing, because and you need to unpack it for better for Mwananchi. Recently, we saw a clip about maize growing somewhere. I don't know if it was in Rift Valley or whatever, looking very healthy, but inside there was no seed on the cob. So, was that really maize or was it cattle feed? And now you can imagine the kind of misgivings, the foreboding it gives for me to adopt GMO or certified seed for that matter, because the farmers saw that they had been given certified seed. How do we, delink these stories so that Mwananchi gets the true picture? Oh, I forgot. There's also improved managu, isn't it? Kienyeji chicken, improved kienyeji. So you've got a lot of work to tell us how these people who are pouring behind test tubes and pipettes and burettes, whatever you call your instruments, that they are really important people and they contribute a lot to our well-being. Thank you for all. Thank you again for being here, and congratulations to all who won, and for everyone who participated, and for even those who didn't submit their stories, because you're still doing a lot of work to promote the government agenda. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.
Amazing. Thank you very much indeed, Miriam. We appreciate your presence here. Amazing. Another round of applause to her. You know, GMO is an emotive issue. I remember even when I was active in journalism on television, we really used to use a lot of graphics to try and demystify these issues. But what I can tell you, as a matter of fact, is we have lots of lack of information, misinformation, and I will partially blame it on scientists who have been a bit slow, if not hesitant, to come out and speak publicly to try and correct the myths and give the right information out there. Daktari Karembu, Dr. Karembu, you've heard what she said. Improved managu, kienyeji, improved kienyeji. Just because a fruit is seedless, does it qualify it to be GMO? Huh? Just because it ripens fast, does it qualify to be GMO? Just because it's sweeter than the traditional fruits that we've had, is it GMO? What people need to know is that there are only a certain types of crops that have been approved, GMO certified, approved, gone through all the processes, and are available for consumption. Okay? But right now, anything that is not traditional, maybe a fruit that is sweeter or more colored than the ordinary, inaambiwa hiyo ni GMO. Just because it doesn't have seeds, it matures faster, tunaambiwa ni GMO. So I think we have a lot of work. And these are talks that we don't necessarily need to have a science forum for us to talk about this. We have a lot of platform right now with the growth in social media to just have a one-on-one na scientist. Unakuja doctor, unaacha kuongea science mingi. Unatuambia tu hapa hivi hakuna banana ambayo ni GMO, ama hakuna managu ambayo ni GMO, na ama sukuma wiki. Zile ambazo ni GMO ni mahindi, ni cassava, ni pamba, ni ile iko Brazil inaitwaje? Soya, unaget. Hivyo nyepesi. Hii mnaongea science mingi, mnapata, you see, science is technical. Na sisi tumezoea lugha ya kawaida, si ndio? Anyway, leo ilikuwa siku ya awards. Can I have Paul please? Daktari now. Huyu jamaa tukijuana naye alikuwa tu kama mimi. Mtu wa kawaida, akaenda ng'ambo, akaongeza masomo, amerudi. akiwa saizi ni Dr. Paulo Chege. Tupatie mtu makofi kwake.
Thank you, Patrick.
Usikuje na vitabu boy, please.
I'm used to
unaona
to vitabu.
Tende sana.
Thank you so much, Patrick, for your splendid hosting. We really appreciate. You have made it very lively and enjoyable, as usual. You are fun to work with. Those days when we used to work together, I really used to wait for the next field day so that we can go together and have those stories.
Sana saya ba, mimi nilikuwa napenda kwa ba.
Hauko useme hivyo. And yeah, like you said, it's a good challenge. You have just explained a lot of science while seated there, you know. Just those things you have said, the 4 crops that you've mentioned, exactly that. And I think some of us will see you so that you show us how to start those TikToks. You know, I wish we can do that, Prof, you and I, so that we demystify the science. But my role here is to thank, to give a vote of thanks, and I want to start with our chief guests who, you know, gave us the honor of attending, even if she had a travel. She decided to be here with us, Dr. Jackie Cardo from NASAC. We really appreciate, and I hope now you understand what NASAC is. I want to ask Sami. Sami, you know what NASAC is? That is where you now go for the info. By the way, Sami, we met in Kirinyaga, where he did the story that won. And really, I appreciate that you managed to do that story and it went the way it went. I really appreciate. Then let me also thank Miriam. Really appreciate your presence here. And thank you. And thanks to the ICT Ministry for sending you. And I'm sure you are here on your own behalf. I hope we can have another sitting so that we can, you know, every opportunity we can get to demystify the science, we need to utilize it. And I really look forward to those opportunities. Anne, thank you so much for being here. On behalf of NBA, you are my colleague in many ways. Thank you so much for what you do and for gracing this occasion. And please pass our regards to Dr. Roy and the entire NBA team. Our director, just so that I don't receive the letter together with Walter. Thank you so much, Dr. Karembu. This is actually the 5th OMAS we are having. It started as, you know, a very small thing. I remember we sat with Margaret someplace, and now we have the 5th OMAS. Really thank you for the support you have been giving to the journalists. 7th, I was away, that's why. So 7th, and you can see the quality, the interest. We had on stage more than 15 journalists who are writing biotechnology stories and willing to share with us. So this is, I think we can see the fruits of your work. Let me thank our panel, eminent panel of judges, Christine, Dr. Joshua, Professor Ngu, really appreciated for being here and doing the work that you did to produce for us or to give us those results. I know it needed you to put in extra work. Thank you so much. And I know when we call on you next time, you are going to do us the honor as you have done. Really appreciated. Then I want to recognize the winner, Gladys, Bridget Garner. Is she from Citizen? NTV, yeah. And the cameraman, I know the kind of work you put so that you can have a winning story, and we really appreciate them. We appreciate Helen from Standard. You see, she rushed in when we called. That's a lot of commitment. And Sami, thank you so much for the story that you put in, even the drive to just submit an entry. That's really interesting. So I want to also appreciate our protocol team, together with Patrick, who have done this event to be very successful as it has been, and also our media people, Ezekiel and your team, who have ensured that we are live even, and that we have followed the session as much as we have done. And I want to appreciate Edna, the OFAB Kenya coordinator, for all the effort that we put. I know you have put in the works and time, really appreciated. And all of my colleagues, Bibiana, Walter, Tony, I know, yeah, I know you will tell us what has worked and what has not worked. And Frank, thank you so much for all the support that you've given this event. So if I appear ruffled, it's because I was given this task just now. So I hope I also deserve some appreciation. Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you very much indeed. Another round of applause to Paul, Daktari Paul. We also would like to thank you, Paul, for accepting that particular request to be the one giving the vote of thanks. And also, I'm being reminded that there are some journalists actually who travel from very far, as far as Mombasa, Marsabit, Busia, and Nakuru. Also, let's give them a round of applause for having sacrificed. Marsabit in Mbali, man. Aye. Marsabit, Nom, and they came. So, and then kuna lady pale mia amenibamba. There's a lady, against all odds, amesema hata kama niko na mtoto, hii awazi lazima nikuje. That lady amefanya kazi ya busara. Si rahisi, si ndio? Amazing sana. Situmalize hiki kitu tuende ba. Ama si ni Friday daktari? Tuende poolside ama? Abana kwa ba. Wenye wanabugia tupatane side ya pili, wenye atubugi muende home. Mama ni mata? Ubaki hapa tuende poolside ama uende home. And now may the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ and the love of God and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with us now and forevermore. Amen and amen. Miss Sadiji, take it. Imeisha. Let's go drink one.